Hello, Jessica. I hope you can hear me okay. I've got the videos and things switched off because I'm going to record this for use elsewhere. And so it'll just be a lesson running through together. So at the moment, I was just about to finish it actually because no one else had turned up, but I'm happy that you've turned up so we can still do it if you like. Okay, hi Jessica, I hope you can hear me okay. I was just saying that the other people that had booked hadn't turned up, so I was about to stop it, but now that you're here, we'll get on and we'll still do the activity. I am recording this just to put up for future for people to come back to and do the lesson just through a video. So we'll go ahead and do the lesson like I was going to do anyway. And that's why I've got the video and audio sort of muted. Okay, so let's jump into it. I'm going to just open up a program. I'll just shut one off. And I'm just going to open up my graphics program here. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to see that line all right. I'm just getting a little timer going. And what we're going to have a go at doing is just a dragon character together, which is similar to this sort of character. So this is a character I designed for a workshop a long time ago. And I've actually not really drawn him in the workshop. We've done other sorts of dragons. So I thought it might be fun to have a go at doing this character. So I'll just paste him in here. And he's in black and white, that's okay. And so I would encourage you just to draw nice and lightly with your pencil. And so you can rub things out, because as we draw this character, we are going to rub out and change things up a bit. As you can see, like if we have a closer look at the character, I'll just zoom in a little bit. There's quite a few things overlapping, particularly the wings and then the legs. So there are going to be certain points where we'll sort of rub out a little bit. Okay, so it's working. So I'm going to go nice and slowly doing this. I'll just talk to you as we go along and you can just follow along with me and just see how you go. But I'll go at a sort of pace so we can sort of keep together. And we may have, I think we've got one other person who's joined in as well. So to start off with, we're going to do the big parts of the character first. So I'm going to pull that down. And I might just put that off for a second. And we're going to start off with our big shape first. So let's draw that. We're going to use a oval shape like that. So that sort of shape won't really work. And a circle shape will just be too short. So we need something a bit long to make it look like the body. And then we're going to add our bits into it. So as you'll see as I go along, it is sort of quite rough. So don't get too worried about getting things exactly right, but you'll see as I go along also, sometimes I'll rub things out and redo them. So we've got our body shape. Now you'll notice on the page, if I pull back a bit, that's like a landscape page. So that's probably the best way to do this character. And you'll notice I'm not drawing it super big, but I'm drawing it fairly big. So I'm not doing a body like that. I'm doing it quite big. So there's plenty of space within the body, but then also leaving room around it so we could add things later if we wanted to. So if we have a look at our character, and oops, sorry, I'm not used to working with layers in these lessons. I normally just do, don't normally have a sample picture there, but I just thought it'd be useful for today. So if we have a look at the character, the next thing we need to add in is the neck, and then we'll add in the head. So to do the neck, you'll notice it gets a little bit, so I might just flip that down. It's a little bit thinner here than here. So we're going to draw it off the body and make it thin. And again, I'm going to sort of follow along where this oval is and then just bring it up like that. Now you could do it the other way. That way I sort of get a better curve. So if you can see the picture, I'm actually drawing it down that way. That's more natural for the curve with your arm to get good lines. And then I'm going to start up here, so it's going to be thin, and then I'll do it down here and I'll make it join in like that. You could make it come down and join in like this, which will make it look a bit more cartoony, but like I've done in the picture there, I sort of quite like making things connect into the shape. So I'm going to start and then draw it down like this and just connect it in. So this sort of shape and this neck could be lots of different characters. I mean, you could make a camel out of it, dinosaur of some sort. If you made the neck a lot longer, you could do a giraffe. So a lot of the ideas that we're using in this character, we could use for other characters as well. Now, if you have a look at this character here, he's got quite a big nose, but I'm going to start by doing a circle for the top, and then we'll build the nose off that. And by the way, you're welcome to change things as you want to. So I'm not going to do a super big head. Again, like if I did a head that big, you could almost make a duck out of it or something like that, because the head's bigger with the body. And I'm not going to do it too small because that'll just look a bit sort of goofy. So I'm going to do a circle shape that's sort of a nice size and just sort of join it onto the top like that. Now, even that might be a fraction too big. So you're welcome just to draw it a few times and then get to what you like. Okay, so once we've got those shapes all together, we're ready to come along and start adding in our detail. And the first thing I usually look at is the face. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. And by the way, the program I'm using here is Photoshop. So if you have a tablet and a graphics program, there's lots of different ones around now that are quite affordable. You can do it this way. I'm using a tablet to draw. I like to draw with pencil though, when I can. So if we have a little look, we've got this circle here, and then I've sort of drawn another shape out. So there's a circle. So you'll see it's sort of connecting in. So it's almost like this. And then I've just drawn down there like that and come up. So let's do that with our character. And again, I could give him a really big nose, or I could give him a little nose. But with this one, I've sort of gone down the middle. The bigger the nose, the more goofy your character will look. So if you don't want him to, or her to look too goofy, like that. And we try to make it round. So again, I'll do it again. You notice I'm leaving a little bit of the head there because I'm going to make that into a bit of a lip. And I'm bending it up, and then I'm going to add a cheek for the mouth. So do that for me. It's almost like an oval shape, but we're drawing it as an oval shape, and then we're sort of stopping and sort of making this part down here into the mouth. So what I'm doing is I'm actually drawing the oval shape, but when I get about here, I just start using my imagination and think, what sort of mouth do I want? And that's what I'm doing. And this is a great thing to get into. You could use it for horses and all sorts of stuff. So the next thing we need to do is just rub out inside the nose that we've just drawn and get rid of that bit of the head shape. And this is what I like to call breaking the shape. I use that term a lot in my workshops. I've probably heard it somewhere else, I'm not sure where. And we'll add into the nose. So we're going to add some nostrils in. And make sure they're in proportion. So in proportion, I'm sort of meaning the right size. We're not going to give him big nostrils like that. That will look a bit crazy. And the other way you could do is just little circles if you preferred. But I quite like, they're almost like teardrop shapes or small ovals. And you're noticing I'm angling one that way and one that way. Just makes it look like a little bit more rounder. That's sitting on the nose. And then on the top of that, I'm just going to do a curved line like that. And it will just look like the top of the nostril. And they're good noses for cows, buffaloes, giraffes. I think anything with a sort of a nostrils like that, donkeys, goats. Now let's add our eyes in. So with the eyes, I've drawn one shape where you can see the whole shape. And then the other shape, I could just do another version of that same one, and that would look quite good. And if you want to make them sort of more cuter eyes, you could do it that way. But with this one, because I wanted it to look a bit more crazier, I've actually done an oval shape, or sort of circle, just almost an oval shape. And then I've done an oval shape coming out this way. So that tends to make our character look a little bit more goofy or cartoony. So let's have a go at adding that in. Now, you'll notice it's going outside the head. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. And I'm going to start them around here. So I'm putting them up here. So it looks like there's a good nose underneath. So I'm going to draw it like that. I might even make it a little bit smaller, a bit higher. And then the other eye. Now that looks a little bit too big to me. So what I might do is I might even move this one over a bit more. And I'll just rub out a little bit there. So as we go along, I'm going to do it slowly, but if you have another bit of paper, you might want to work on your own one as well. Sometimes in the workshops, people work on a couple. So that's gone outside the head. So again, that's breaking the shape like the nose that we just drew. So I'm just going to rub out inside there. And then let's just add our pupils in. So I'm going to do one like that. And then you'll notice that over here, this one is the pupil is touching the other eyeball. And that's just to make it look like the character is looking at you. And then I might just add a little circle in. Now you can come along after this when we've finished and ink in or outline your character. So you could leave, you don't have to draw in black like I am, and I'll probably just put some black in there. I'm just going to do that just because it's looks a bit more effective with what I'm showing you, but you might want to come along later and actually add color into those eyes, so you don't have to make them black if you don't want to. And then we've just got a couple of eyebrow lines like that. You can use lots of different things for eyebrows, but I'll just stick to that one. Now you can do all sorts of things if you wanted to make him look more friendly. Those are good eyebrows. If you want to make him look a bit more sort of confused or a bit angry or annoyed, those are good eyebrows. But in this case, I'm just going to keep him looking pretty friendly. So I'm going to do some nice big eyebrows. Now, the next thing we need to add in is some horns. So we're going to do a curved line and then the horn like that. So I'll show you how we're going to do it because we're going to break the shape of these as well. So I'm going to do a curved line there. And then I'm just going to do a sort of small horn up to a point, and then I'll start down at that curve on the other end and bring it up to the point. And we've got the head inside, so we just need to get rid of that. And then just above the eyes here, I'll do the other horn, so it looks like it's coming from the other side. And that gives our character a lot of 3D. So the eyes overlapping, the nose, the horns, everything's contributing to making our character look a bit 3D. So now some dragons don't have ears, some do, but this one I'm going to. So I'm going to use like a leaf shape like this. And I might even get rid of that eyebrow. So you're welcome to change things as we go, and I'll add it back in a second. And I'll just add the other ear in to that side like that. And I might make it a bit smaller. And then we're going to rub out where this ear joins. We won't worry about rubbing out. We won't rub that part of the head out. That will just sort of start looking a bit weird because this horn and that ear are coming from the far side. So it'll make the character look more 3D. And then I'm just going to add a curved line across like this. And that's a really great way just to add some detail into the ear. Now, again, these ears could be used for all sorts of animals, horses, camels, again, giraffes, anything with ears like that, buffalo, probably not dogs, but, you know, probably not cats. If you did big ones of these, they could work for rabbits. So there's our head. And we're going to come back and add those sort of spikes a bit later. So the one thing we need to do before we move on to the body is we just need to rub out this part of the head. And I might just leave a little bit of the head there like that. You could do it right back to the edge if you wanted. But if you do that, then you'll need to do this, where we draw this line back in a bit and just add a little bit of a lip. Now he's got a very small little one there. So I could just even curve it up like that. And that would work quite well. So all we did was rub out that head, and then we drew that line in. So we just rubbed out the head where the neck was there. And the other thing we need to do is just rub out where the body is inside. the neck there so it looks all joined up. Okay, so let's have a little look at what is left to do. That's probably the harder bit, besides the wings. Now we need to add a tail in, so we'll add that in. And again, you just need to think about what size tail you want. If I do one like this, it's going to look a little small. So I'll pull it back a bit so we can see. That'll probably look too big. So if you look at the one I did, I sort of looked and tried to imagine it's almost the same size as the neck a bit. And I'm just going to draw it like that. And then I'm going to start a bit further down the body, because with these sort of features, same with the legs and the neck and everything, we start thick close to the body. And then as we go away from the body, we sort of thin it out. You can do that with arms and everything. It just helps the character look more realistic. So I'm going to start here. You can even draw inside. And that line's gone a bit awry. So I'm just following along what I've already drawn and bring it up to the point, similar to what we did with the horn. And then I'm just going to rub out where it's inside. Now to join it up, we're just going to rub out where the tail joins the body there. But notice I've left a little bit just down here, similar to what we did up here with the sort of bottom lip. It just makes it look all joined up. Okay, so I hope you're keeping up with me. So we started with the body, we added the neck in, we used a circle for the head. And then we've come along and drawn that bigger nose in and then added all the details in for the head. We've added our tail in, and now we're going to have a look at the legs. Now, once we do the legs, we might do the ones closest to it first, and I'll just pull it down so we can see those legs. Then we just repeat them over. So I've got to work out where I want them to go. So I might draw one curved line like that, and then again, making it thick to thin, like that. That works all right. And then I'm going to work out where I want this front leg to go, this one. So we're drawing the ones closest to us first. So I'm going to space it apart a bit and do that there. And I might just curve it down a little bit more. And I'll do it again. And then I'm just going to start it and do it down like this. Now that line's a little long there, so I might just rub out a little bit. And the same there, you can do it along here. And we'll add in the foot, which is just this sort of shape. It's almost like a semicircle shape, really. If I drew it upright, it's going to look like this. And then we're just going to add some lines. So other dragons I do, we sort of add claws and all that, but this one we'll just keep it simple because we've only got a short amount of time. So I'm going to do a curve line, then a curve line, and then a straight line to join them up. Now don't worry if you overlap things where you go a bit, you can always just rub it out. Remember, we're just drawing nice and lightly with our pencil. And we're trying to make sure they look even. So I'm not going to do a foot that's going to look like this. That just won't fit with the other foot. We need to make sure that they look similar. A good little tip to do that is when you're drawing this one, just keep in your sort of the side vision the other one. And often you'll try to match that up. It'll just automatically do it. Now, once you've done those, we can add some lines. And then we're just going to come along with our rubber and just rub out inside those legs so they look like they're joined into the body there. And then we just come along and add in our other legs. So an easy way to add in other legs is if we have a look at this line and the front part of the foot, or probably we'll draw all the foot in this case. Often with legs, you can just mimic the other line. So if I drew this down like this, and then I might just do a curve line down and draw that part of the foot. And I might just curve it a little bit. Oh, probably not too much. Like that. And then we'll do the same with this one. I know I've drawn it separately there, but I might just do it. So we'll just repeat that idea. So we're drawing it down. You want to make sure you leave plenty of room when you're drawing the back, the legs furthest away from you to be able to add your foot in. And we'll just add in now. bit like that. Okay, so we're probably up to the hardest bit now, which is going to be the wings. So I might just move this character out of the way for the moment, because otherwise I'm going to be drawing over the top of it. But I thought it might be helpful to have the actual picture there. And I'll just pull it down here. Now, as we go along, I think I mentioned earlier, but you are welcome to just add in your own things as well. Now, if you have a look at these wings, what we're going to do is we're going to draw the shape of the top of the wing first. And it's a bit like a weird horn, very similar to what we've done with the horn and tail. Start thick to thin. And then we'll do the bat type bit coming down. So we'll do the one closest to us first. And if we have a look at our character here, you'll notice that it sort of begins around the top of that front leg. So if you're going to redraw this character and reuse it, it's always good to sort of look at those things because they can help you repeat drawing the character. You'll know where things stop and start on the body. Now, I'm not going to start it down here. That's a little bit too low. I want it just coming off the top here, so I'll probably start it up around there. So let's see, I'm going to draw it going back like that. And I might even do it a little bit higher. Sometimes when we draw big too, like draw characters bigger rather than drawing really small, you'll often get a better line. And then starting in there around the same point, I'm going to start another line now, a bit further away, and it will slowly get closer, but I'm not going to make it too thin too quickly. So you'll see I'm keeping it fairly thick, and then it will get thin as we come up like that. I'm doing that because I want to make it look like the wing is quite strong. Okay, and now we just need to add our bat part in. So you can start down here, or you can start up at the tip. I would probably start down here to work out how big I want it to be. And so maybe around here. And I'm just going to do a couple of bat type pointy bits, I guess you call it. Now that's getting a bit thin, so I might sort of draw it so I'm aiming for up here. Even do a big one. Mix them up a little bit, sort of make them smaller and bigger. And then I'm just going to draw that in. There's not a good point there, so I might just redo that again, like that. And I might even make it come out a bit closer. So there's no real rules with these ones. You can I wouldn't sort of do it like that, because that will look a bit, it won't give the feeling of like big wings with that sort of flap that, like bats have with the skin. Okay, so let's grab our rubber now, and we're just going to rub out inside the wing. And I'll do that as well in here. So we've now broken the shape with our wing, like we have with our legs, like we did with the head, the horns. You can see we're using shapes and we're sort of breaking them. Now, I didn't add this into the character we're looking at here, but you could actually add lines in if you wanted to. And I would sort of make them go like this. I would sort of spread them out as if they're fanning out with the wing, if that makes sense to you. So let's do our other wing. Now, at some point, we are going to rub a little bit of this out, but we don't really see much of this wing. So I'm going to draw the same shape. I'm trying to mimic or copy the other shape and then draw it in like this. If you want to be really fancy, you could even do the other bit, but I think this is enough. So once you've drawn that line in and you want to try to make them the same height, and I've drawn it out. I haven't drawn it like this. I haven't gone like this because that sort of won't really work. We want to make it look like the wings are both flapping out. So I'm going to draw it up like this and then down. And that even looks a little bit big to me. So just use your eye and just, there's no real, the only way to sort of get better at these things is practicing them and lots of drawing. And I was drawing the stuff this morning and I'm constantly changing it as I go. And then I'm just going to do the top part of that wing. Now, we don't actually see the bat part of this wing. But if you were coloring it, you would put that color into here. So whatever color, you'll notice here, this is in black and white, but I've done a different color. You can see I've done different colors here. So you'll notice inside that wing, I've used the same color and shadow. I probably wouldn't add lines in there. I don't think that's necessary. So there's our dragon, and we're ready to add our final details in. Now you'll notice I've got lots of spots. So you could add scales if you wanted to, like this. And if you're going to add scales, you just add a few here or there. You don't have to cover the whole body, and people will imagine that the character's got scales. But the other way is we just do some circle shapes, or you can add any patterns in you like. Actually, you can add stripes, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to add some spots. So I'm going to use oval shapes, big and small. I'm just scattering them around. A good little trick is you can make your shapes go to the edge, so it looks like they're wrapping around the body. I wouldn't overdo it, but now what I've done there, I've drawn the circle a little too close to where that line and that line of the wing are, so they look joined up. So a good thing to do is, if I'm going to add a spot in there, I'm going to make it move away from these two lines so they don't look like they're all joining up, otherwise people will get confused. So for example, if I drew that, it would look confusing. So it's very simple. You just move it over a bit. We're going to add, might add a few onto the tail. So go ahead and add your stuff in. And then our last bit we'll add is, and you could even add some onto the head if you wanted to, but I wouldn't add too many. And make them go down onto the body a little bit, but that's probably enough. Okay, so the spikes, and I'll just add that other eyebrow in. I'm going to start up at the head here, and I'm going to work my way along the back and down to the tail. Now, if you have a look at the head and down on the tail, the spikes are much smaller than where they are, the size of them in the middle of the body here. So you can work any way you want. You could start doing the middle one, the big ones in the middle, and then work your way up. But I'm just going to work my way along. And I'm using like a shark fin type spike. So if I did it straight like that, it's not going to look as good. And this character feels like it's flying that way. So it probably makes sense to make the spikes look like they're sort of moving with the body and sort of not blowing back, but you know what I mean. When something's moving one direction, often hair or tail or wings or whatever is moving the other direction. So let's add let's add our spikes in. I'm just going to add one here. And I might make them a little bit thinner. So actually a good thing to do when you're doing these is make them sort of join up like that. So again, that's a little bit big for me, so I'm just going to start small. I might space them apart a bit so they get bigger. And that one down the neck there, I might just do it a bit smaller. So I'm just sort of making this up. You're welcome just to make them up as you go too. As I say, there's no right or wrong. Now this bit's going to overlap, so I'm going to do a nice big one and come down. It's a little bit too big. I'm just going to make it a fraction bigger. Oops. And inside that one, I'm just going to rub out. So wherever you draw your spikes or your plates, I guess you call them, dorsal fins would be for sharks. You rub out inside and it will look like it's coming over the top. So I'm going to do one here, but we can't really see it. And then I might do actually just draw it up like that. And I'm going to do another one. It's quite big. And then I'm going to start making them get a bit smaller. Don't go small too quickly. And then you can even separate them a little bit. Like that. Okay, so there's our dragon. Now, the very last thing we can do, we've got about a couple of minutes left, so we'll just add in some details. Once you've done those, and I'll give you a second while you do that, because I'm thinking that would take a little bit of time, is we could add in some motion lines or movement lines. So for example, if the wing is flapping, then you might just want to add in a couple of lines like this. Don't add in too many, and even a line like that. That would be heaps. You could add in a line on the end of the tail. Maybe, probably wouldn't put it in front of his nose. You could, but that's a bit distracting. So I tend to put it where people won't sort of be distracted. The legs, you could just do like that. Now, where you've got a big part like the neck or the tail, and I'd probably be more inclined to do it at the tail, you could do sort of long lines. And you'll notice that all these lines, I'm doing a big one and a small one. That's because it looks better for the motion. If I do them so they're both the same, it's just not going to have the same effect. So when you do movement lines, you tend to do little ones like that might be all right at the same, but when you're doing these long ones, it always looks more effective. The other thing you could do if you wanted to make it look like your character is moving is do a couple of lines. I usually do about 3, make them different lengths. And then we just draw a cloud shape like that. And then another cloud shape like this. Now I've got those lines there, so you guessed it, we'll just come along and rub them out. And there we go. Okay, so that's our timer, but I'll just show you one last thing that we could do with this picture. And then before we finish up, I'll just introduce you to the school I've got in case you'd like to join that. It's free to join up, and there's heaps of videos like what I'm doing with you now that you might want to use. There's lots of free ones in there. So I'm just going to put this back in and just get rid of that for a moment. Okay, now he's up in the sky. So we could add some ground underneath. So let's have a look. I can just do mountains like this. So you could do lines like this. And then you could actually, oops, sorry, because I moved it. You could add sort of mountains if you wanted to. You could even add a castle. You might add some turrets. Just little pointy bits. Oops, do that again for you. So they're like the little bits on the top of the castle. I've seen a few castles on the news lately. And I'm just going to rub that out. Draw that in. And then we could add in the towers with a flag. You can add in trees, so you can add things like that. You could add a sun. So again, we can add all sorts of things into our picture, add a background. You could even add a road. Lots of stuff we could add in. So I won't add it in anymore, but that sort of gives you an idea. And that gives a feeling like our character, if I had a few more lines here, is actually up above the ground. And one last little thing I could show you, we could add little lines in there. We could add a couple of lines in here for some shadows. And then you're ready to go over your picture with your pens, and you'll have a nice finished cartoon character, and then add color and it'll look great. Now, like with the mountains, if you want to make them look like mountains, you could add snow on the top like that, even birds in a distance. So lots of things you could do to sort of finish off that character and give it a bit of context. So I hope you had fun. We are going to do another one of these next week. And you're welcome to, you can go to that link and book in any time. I haven't quite worked out what we're going to do next week, but we'll probably have a look at a couple of pet characters, 2 variations of the same character. And the other thing I was going to show you, and I'll just stop sharing this screen and then we'll finish up. share this screen. So if we just quickly go here, this is the Easy Cartoon Drawing School that your mum or your dad or your guardian or whoever looks after you could sign in. Just requires an email and a name. It's free to sign up and you can sign out any time. But you sign up because it gives you a little profile. And within the school, if I show you, there's all these lessons. You'll notice up the top, it says My Products. So you'd have a little profile and whatever products you click on. So for example, if I click on this one, I just go through the process and it will take me to the lesson once you sign up for it. And when you look at your products, it'll have all these courses. So as you can see, there's lots of different ones. These are all single video ones. So they're just one long video. When I say long, probably 5 or 10 minutes, using simple shapes, then some harder characters. So you can see there's lots of stuff here for free. These also have little quizzes and coloring sheets and stuff in them. But and then as we go down, there's more complex ones where there's multiple videos. So this is a manga character, Christmassy stuff. And then lots of characters down here. You can see there's a hard dragon here you could do. And then a Pikachu type character. But you can see there's heaps of stuff here. So what I'm offering, if you sign up, I'll get notified that you've signed up. You can email me, or mum or dad can email me, and I'll give you maybe 3 of these courses for free, the ones that you pay for. So when you sign up, there's all these free ones, but if you'd like one of these paid ones or 3 of them, I'm happy to give them to you. I've just opened the school up, so I'd like people to use the courses just so I can find out if everything's working fine and find out how you like it. So these courses are like multiple videos. So you go step by step, and when you finish one bit, you just click on to the next one. And so it's a bit different to the ones at the top. But as I say, there's a couple of free ones here, the ones that I'm charging for, and there's Christmas ones for free as well. So feel free to sign up to that and you'll be able to access lessons anytime. You can also ask me questions in the school and leave a comment and I'll come back and answer your question for you. So I hope you had fun doing that. And if your mum or dad want to email me a picture of your dragon, I'd love to see the result of what you did today. And I might see you next week. So I hope you have a good rest of the day and a rest of the holiday. And I'll catch you around the school sometime or at the lessons next week. I will be offering online lessons, probably weekly like this. We'll just do half an hour, a bit longer today. So if they want to get onto an email list and know about what's available, if they're not already on it, then you can find out when I'm doing these. There's also lessons available, but that's in that email. Okay, take care. Hope you had lots of fun, and I'll keep an eye out if you send your picture through. Okay, bye-bye.